This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. You can find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Welcome to Red Panda Report episode 22. I'm talking about Red Panda Adventures episode 22, The Black Hand. Here's the copy, written by Greg Taylor. Dark forces are gathering. Powers that have long slept are stirring once more. A coming storm of otherworldly evil. So our heroes have been warned. But can any warning prepare the Red Panda and the Flying Squirrel for the unknowable? Or will the terrific twosome of Toronto fall before the Black Hand? I love this so much. Anyway, so this was written and directed by Greg Taylor, who also wrote the copy, and is the voice of the Red Panda, if you didn't know that already. And I just have a few notes here. First of all, just in general, this episode was really good. It was a lot of fun. It's somewhat expanding the canon. We kind of started off with a magical... the Sphinx, he was a magic user, and then we had a little bit more magic, maybe, I don't know, mid-season 1, or maybe the third quarter of season 1, we had something happen, and there was definitely magic there, and we got introduced to the stranger, and he, flirts with Kit, and tells her he'll fly her to Paris with him, or to France, wherever he is, if the Red Panda hasn't picked up on the fact that she's interested in him, and anyway, It's really cool. It's a really surprising part of the show. I never expected when I started the show that, despite the fact that the Red Panda has hypnotic powers, which he says are mental powers, and it's more science than magic, that we would be getting this full occult thing with, a demon coming through from another world. And I really like it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great concept. As it develops, as the show continues, and the stories evolve, you could say it really develops into like a major plot point or a major aspect of it that I think sets it apart from a lot of other superhero type stuff. If you wanted to draw a comparison, I haven't read enough, or I haven't heard enough of The Shadow, or read it, any of the books, I think, to really say how much magic is in there. I listened to one audiobook, a version of one that a fan did. Actually, it was Razorfist, who reminded me about how awesome The Shadow is, and then I started doing this, because The Shadow is so based on Red Panda. Anyway, so there's a lot more occult in it than I thought there would be, but I really like what they do with it. It's a lot of fun, and they go in a lot of different areas that are really exciting, and definitely play on, like, superpowers and comic book type concepts, but they're just done with magic as opposed to science or, I don't know, cosmic stuff. So, cosmic forces, which I guess it's all the same, which I'll get into right now. First of all, we get lore about the stranger, that he worked for this Council of Mages in his youth, 30 years ago or whatever it was, and they were upset about him interfering with regular human activities, which he said, I was fighting crime, I was doing good. And, that's why I broke all your rules, because apparently he broke every one of the rules about how they're supposed to, people who have magic are supposed to operate, which is fun. So Maxwell Falcone's a bit of a rebel, so it's kind of, I wonder, he and Red Panda get along, and I bet he sees a lot of himself in Red Panda. Yeah, I think that's the right way to say it. And, I don't know, he's a fun scamp, and that edginess and that willingness to disappoint people, authority figures and such, to be a little bit of a rebel, is probably what made him such a great hero, and that's the kind of thing that makes Kit and Red Panda such great heroes as well. So so that's kind of all for the lore. And also he's in some sort of trouble in, again, I think it's somewhere in France, and he was magically projecting himself to see them, which apparently is a power he has, so that's pretty cool. Dr. Chronopoulos explains to Kit that magic and science are basically the same thing. They're these universal forces, and they are different ways of accessing these universal forces, and they talk about magic having certain frequencies, and that's how the trackers are able to work. That's how the clothes that they have, their costumes, I don't know if they have brand new costumes that have the anti-magic fibers in them, or the magic jamming fibers in them. I don't know if that's what it is, or if they just had magic jamming fibers woven into their clothes, or what, or their costumes, I should say. But it's a fun thing, it's a fun idea, and that's the kind of thing I was talking about, that they're taking, Taylor's introducing magic into the world as an unknowable science, or an unknown science, a little understood science, or, something that can be examined through a little understood science, and he's pushing these characters into interaction with magic so that they can learn how to manipulate it and use it, and it turns into things like having anti-magic clothes so that they can't be seen by the council of mages, for example, or casting all these spells to try to find them, but it's fluffing. It's like the stealth bomber radar tries to hit it, but it flies off of it and it can't detect it. And there's no like shadow that, oh yeah, there's this place where we should be detecting things, but we're not because it's melting off. So that isn't even something they have to worry about, which is interesting. And then they have Chronopolis made a tracker for them, and that enables them to find out where this entity is, this otherworldly entity is, and they're able to find it. There's flashbang type of thing that would blind things that see by magic, which is cool. And another item described is a false signal, like they have it on planes. It's like anti-aircraft. It like throws out, a jet will throw this thing off, chaff I think is what they call it, so that signals the missiles or whatever to hit it instead of the actual plane. So it's kind of like anti-magic chaff, I guess you could say, is probably the right term. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's right. And then the last thing they have is a shield, an anti-magic shield, and I guess it blinds. Does it blind them to magic? No, they're already blind to magic because they're close. I can't remember what the shield really does, but I guess it blocks magic somehow. And then using that, Kit's able to kick this entity that came through back into the hole that they opened, the portal that Red Panda and the remaining guy from the Black Hand ended up. They assisted each other in using the spell to open the portal to send the guy back through, and Kit was the one who kicked him in. So that was cool. Let me see. So then we have Parker's pedestrian banter. So Andy Parker he's soft on the flying squirrel, as Spiro would say, and he is telling her, he's like having a soft, tender moment with her. He's telling her like, I guess I can't tell you to be okay because you're never okay because you're an adventurous girl and blah blah blah. And she tells him as she's leaving, like, I'm invisible magic, and he asks, is that some sort of banter? Because if it is, and he just like collapses. He can't do it because she can't hear him anyway, but also he just doesn't know what to say. And he's also competing with Red Panda, even though Red Panda doesn't know it at this point. But I think everybody else realizes that's probably the case, so that's fun. And it's cute because it like textures his character a little bit, and it just textures his character a little bit, and then kind of makes you, the listener, think about Red Panda and Kit's relationship, which there's a line about a big bad wolf. They call that the entity that, and Kit says something like, what if he decides to come huffing and puffing in here to blow our house down? And Red Panda says, well then we'll have to do some huffing and puffing of our own. And he calls him out on that because that sounds a little interesting, and he tells her, behave yourself. And it's interesting because that's skirting the line of family friendliness, because it's slightly suggestive, but I'm really impressed by Taylor. I don't know why he kept this show relatively family friendly. Like, the political people, like, there's actually like on screen deaths that happen because they feel like they have no other choice. And like there's one other romance in particular that I'm thinking that developed, and it's super awesome. It's super awesome. And I don't remember I think this episode already passed, but there's an episode where it ended up breaking the guy's fingers to find it. And then in this episode, she's talking about breaking all these zombie guys' kneecaps, so that they don't have to struggle with fighting. Like, they physically couldn't be able to stand up, and he's like, yeah, we have knockout gas kit. Let's just use that. She's like, oh yeah, I guess that's a good point. Anyway, so like, the violence, you can argue with that, and I know European people say, sex is better than violence, or sex and violence should be equally bad, and Americans are dumb for disliking sex but liking violence in their shows. And sorry, Europeans, you're wrong. They're totally different things. And in heroic media, I talked about this before once. I'll just talk about it very briefly here. In heroic media, violence is a necessary evil, you could say, to achieve the goal of creating peace. And anybody can engage in the violence against any bad actor who's trying to inflict violence upon other people. Versus in the sex situation, sex should be a one-on-one thing done between consensual adults, and it should be done with both parties being willing and agreeing to do it. in order for it to be considered moral, and there are other things, but that's like the base level. And if one person is trying to enact sex upon another, that is seen as an act of violence, and that person, the victim or the person being acted upon, is more than justified in acting with violence upon the person who is trying to enact the sex. So I think that in and of itself proves that they're totally different animals, and you can poke holes in that and say it's a logical argument, but I'm trying to be brief. I don't want this to detract everything, but if we went back and forth on this, if we agreed to go back and forth on this argument, this line of reasoning that I just laid out, you would see that I'm right and you're wrong if you disagree with me right now. But that's okay. We can, that's what the comment section is for. Try it. But anyway, like it's pretty close to being bad, but that's gonna fly over a kid's head. An adult's gonna laugh. I laughed. I thought it was funny. But like, I really enjoy how he's finally needling that thread and making a suggestive joke in this situation, but also letting it be okay. And so I still think it's family friendly. Gets a little ultra violent sometimes, but yeah, other than that, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, that was it. Maybe that's why I had so much fun with this episode, because there was that moment, and then also he attached the shield, the anti-magic shield, to Kit to her utility belt, and he like went up to her and flicked it on her, and in order to do that, they had to touch, and it was too close for him to love her, and yeah, it was interesting moment. And as the relationship, spoilers for Red Panda, like 10-year-old thing, as the relationship develops, you get to understand and learn why he was so hesitant to engage with her at all in any respect other than friendly banter and training her and stuff to fight. And I think it's interesting and fun when that reveal happens, so we'll be able to talk less guardedly about a lot of things when we get to that point in the show, which I think is like into season 4, beginning of season 5 or something like that. So anyway, for now, that's all I have to say. I really enjoyed this. Great episode, I think. And Red Panda's like 90% of it is like really good, or I'd say 80% of it's excellent. The other 10% more is really good, and then there's another 5% that's okay, and maybe 5% that's just like, nothing I like that much. But this is a really good episode. So anyway, introduces a lot of stuff that's going to be a lot of fun for us to have in the future with these two heroes. So till next time, take care, be well, and hold high the lamp of justice. I hope you enjoyed that. Subscribe to keep up with me. Like and share to help me reach more people like you. And go to mjmunoz.com to find your next favorite thing. And don't forget to let your voice be heard. Stories are always better when you're part of the conversation. Until next time, be well. This is MJ signing out. This has been a Story Over Everything production.